This is delightful. I'm so glad we came here. Feel those vibrations at Camp Video Games. Hello, and welcome to Camp Video Games, a podcast that discusses video games and video game adaptations. This is Junior Counselor Sean, and joining me is Junior Counselor Josh.
Hello, campers. Junior Counselor Josh here. Now, Billy, you stole my sleeping pills last night, and I know it was you. So I'm a wreck today. And on top of that, my wife left me. You think I don't need sleeping pills when my wife left me, Billy? How would you feel if your wife left you? You didn't have sleeping pills up all night thinking about her with other men, other big bulls, just having their way. Okay, we're here to talk about video games, right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry for making this personal, Junior Counselor Sean. Billy, you are excommunicated from camp.
Camper Billy, more like ex-Camper Billy. Please wait for the bus.
Problem solved.
If you find Junior Counselor Josh's sleeping pills, please return them. He's just been staying up all night, leveling up his Aeriths and his Tifas, and he's not getting a lick of sleep. And he's been crying.
My wife Deidre disappeared around the same time as Counselor Michael Mayonnaise. I don't want to think it's correlated, but Deidre, if you're out there, I love you. Come back.
And head camp counselor Michael Mayonnaise, if you can hear this, we have not gotten paid in a couple of months. And I'm starting to run out of savings. And my wife is actually, she thinks that it's refreshing that I don't have so much money anymore. She thinks it's humbled me. So,
all right, show off.
This newfound poverty, she's like, this is strengthening our marriage better more than ever.
Let's talk about Final
Fantasy VII. This is the 6th part in an ongoing discussion. So if this is your first time hearing anything about this, welcome. But you got some catching up to do there, camper. And we left off, let's see, this is the time where Final Fantasy VII made us fall in love, and then they killed her.
Mm-hmm.
And they just killed her.
Yep.
They killed our sweet, sweet Aerith.
Really had to rub in that wound of my wife leaving me, didn't you? No, but seriously. Yes, Aerith hath just died, and we are in the ancient village, and everybody's a little bit bummed out.
You think when Sephiroth stabbed his sword through Aerith, Cloud was like, she's cheating on me. Only I get to do that.
That bee!
Spoiler alert.
For what? That
Aerith dies.
Aerith died last week. That's the spoiler.
Yeah, sorry. Did you know that?
Yeah. So yeah, we regroup in the village, and did we already see the scene where everybody's like, "Cloud, you good for this? You good for this, pal?"
Oh yeah. Like Cloud's like basically he admits that he's got some problems, but he reaffirms that he's like, I am Cloud, whatever that means. But there is someone. He says? There's a person inside me who is not me. So that's Cloud's.
So it seems chill for all of us to just keep journeying towards Sephiroth together.
Yeah. So I guess you're still in charge.
Yeah.
Cloud is quickly becoming a more and more interesting character as we learn more about him, which really means we know even less about him than we started off with. We'll get to it. Goodness gracious, yeah. Cloud.
In the meantime, we've got a lot of climbing to do.
Oh boy. Okay. So as you are leaving the city of the ancients, you see this it's like a ghost form of Sephiroth, or it's like a flashback or it's something, but we see this little Sephiroth walk out of the city of the ancients, and Cloud's following him. And that takes us to the Coral Valley Cave system, and it's a ascension. We're getting up, we're going out, we're just trying to reach the world map. so that we can head to the Icicle Inn.
Right. And this is a interesting stretch of gameplay here that we're about to go through before the next like major story moment. This climbing this cave system. It's you feel that you are in a lengthy sort of dungeon of which you don't fully understand the purpose or the end goal. And I think it, while a little bit tedious gameplay wise, I think it works narratively pretty well. That like we as a collective, as a party, are a little lost.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, that we know we think we want to find Sephiroth, who has the black materia.
Mhm.
We know he's gonna do something bad with it. And this is our hint, was seeing him walk out of the city. So that is all to say that like what I'm getting at is the actual gameplay of this section. I don't quite enjoy, but I think it works. And we could talk about it more after the Icicle Inn, because that's where I think you get to the real slog of it, where it's like you are feeling the party feel the difficulty of the journry.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is if I were to like make a comparison to like this point in the game, it would be Gandalf falling in the mines of Moria.
Yeah.
Right. He like falls to the Balrog, and then the Fellowship is just in this like, you know, they don't even have time to weep. They just have to keep moving.
Right.
And
yeah, that's a very good point.
It's you've just been dealt such a devastating emotional blow. For gamers that have like experienced Final Fantasy VII in its natural form, like this is like no game has ever done this to you emotionally before. They've never really built up a character and just mercilessly ripped her away like that. That I can remember. I mean, like I guess I was kind of partial to the to Inky and Blinky and Clyde in Pac-Man, and I hated having to eat them. But there's no real sense of loss in video games before this.
Yeah.
In terms of a character, you know. And the fact that it happens and then you go into like a barren, frozen wasteland, emotionally speaking, is very proper. It would be weird if we went to Costa del Sol right after this with that music and all of the things. But instead, we go to like this isolated little village up in the snowy mountains of, I think it's called Gaia's Cliff, or the Great Glacier is where we are right now.
Yeah.
The northernmost continent.
And the little town specifically being Icicle Inn, sort of a tourist destination. We run into some folks from Costa del Sol.
Yeah, that's right.
Who are still dressed in their skivvies.
They were surfing in Costa del Sol. Now they're snowboarding here in Icicle Inn.
Yeah. And it's quite literally a sleepy little village here.
Yeah.
If you watch the footage on YouTube, I'm doing some shopping, and
dude, the weapons here are a huge improvement from the stuff that I was carrying up to that point.
Yeah, I had no money for it.
Jeez, I am so rich in this game because I keep grinding. We were talking about this right before we started recording, how like I've just been like really indulging in the combat of this game because I love it, and it's as a result, I'm a rich man.
Yeah. What it
but the weapon shop here in Icicle Inn, specifically for Barrett, you can buy a weapon called the micro laser. I hate to say that. Every time I read it, I see micro penis.
I think of it as like, what is this, like a dermatologist tool? You know, that's what it's
right.
Oh, are you gonna like burn the acne off my back or something? But
you're gonna feel a little pressure, brother.
The interesting narrative experience I had at the weapon shop, which I don't know if it'll be maybe too tedious to find the specific footage of it, is because I was low on funds.
Yeah.
And we're out it feels like very far from civilization.
You got to stock up while you can.
I feel like I need this stuff.
Yeah.
And I have not a lot of money. And I go and I'm like, what can I sell?
Are you pawning off materia?
No, I see just a wall of weapons for Aerith.
Oh no! She's not even cold.
I was just like, wow, dude. Ooh, that burns.
Jesus Christ.
Like just selling off my mementos of my beloved character was pretty brutal. This might be it. Like, oh yeah.
What
Yeah,
a gut
I'm like
punch.
thumbing through them like, ooh, I know I like statistically never need these again, but oh dang.
That's just brutal. I am so sorry for your loss, man. I have not had to resort to selling anything at this point.
Yeah.
I just keep making money. I don't know, man. I wish it was real life.
I've been trying to like I'll go in and I'll want to sell stuff, but I'm like a freak about not selling anything that's double growth.
Oh, sure.
But you in the menu where you
Double
sell
growth for materia
right,
experience.
and the menu where you sell, you cannot see those like factors.
That's right. You got to.
So I have to like go back and forth and try to remember. And I was like, my brain can't do this right now. I had the flu last week when I was doing this, so I was like, I don't know, man. I did okay. I made it. You know, I made it as far as we wanted to go. So this didn't hold me up, but it was a little frustrating. Anyway,
how many people across the world do you think like called in sick to work or school the next day after they lost Aerith in the game? Like, because like I know some people like truly felt that at like it was like a real death in their life.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I've been feeling a little down since that moment, but also again I was sick and this is still not super functional. But on that note, I've been debating like, do I want to take the 29th off to play Rebirth?
Yeah, you should.
We're like 2 weeks out.
You should probably just go ahead and do that.
We'll see.
Make those plans.
Yeah. Anyway, so the weapon shop, it's very cute because there's a senile old man who's ostensibly supposed to be in charge, and there's this little girl who's like, Gramps won't wake up. I'll sell you deadly weapons.
It rocks. Yeah, like imagine a kid selling you a gun.
Yeah.
This is like The Wire or something.
But that's enough about the weapon shop. What else we got in Icicle
Inn?
Inn?
In Icicle Inn, there's this like laboratory looking little area, and you can watch some tapes.
Yes. This is very important. So I might maybe we should like walk through this whole
I think that's a good idea because my notes are wild to read in the light of day as I go through.
Yeah, because I mean the rest of this town is just a little flavor that it's like, oh, this is just sort of a like ski resort type town very far up north.
Nothing ever shady happens in ski resorts. I know that much.
Yeah. So we go into this lab like building.
Yes.
And if you poke around, one of the computers that is part of the pre-rendered background does not stand out as a 3D object, which is usually the case. If you can interact with something, it's a polygonal 3D object.
Yeah, it's going to have that like garish, like monotone color that is so easy to identify next to the like hand-drawn images.
Not this, and it doesn't give you a little arrow. You can. I probably totally missed this.
Well, it's not gameplay essential. It's story essential.
Right.
You know, because if you're playing this as a teenager and you just want those numbers to keep getting bigger and bigger, you don't care what happens. Who's this Afalna?
Yeah.
Who's this Gast? Who cares?
So we're going to learn about Afalna and Gast in the process of hanging out here. So you can watch these videos that Professor Gast, who we've talked about before, has taken. And we learned it's his home where he lived, and I don't know if they were married or just lovers or whatever, with Afalna, who is Aerith's mother. So the first one's called The Original Crisis. And he asks Afalna to tell him about the Cetra. She says, 2,000 years ago, our ancestors, the Cetra, heard the cries of the planet. Yeah, okay. The first ones to discover the planet's wounds were the Cetra at the Null's Pole.
The Null's Pole.
Sort of the North Pole. So the Cetra discovered a wound at the North Pole. It was He says, "Tell us, Afalna, where is the land called Knowles Pole?" Which is a weird word. Knowles Pole refers. She says, "Knowles Pole refers to this area." The Cetra then began some planet reading. So they do the thing. It's kind of like the thing Aerith did at the temple, I guess.
Where she like put her head against the floor, and she was like, "I think I hear the planet better."
They learned something fell from the sky and made a large wound there. That's what the Cetra learned from their planet reading. Thousands of Cetra pulled together and tried to heal the planet, but due to the severity of the wound, it was only able to heal itself over many, many years.
Right. So it's like, instead of fully healing over, it's more like a big scar was built around this impact site.
And Professor Gast asks if the Cetra have special powers to heal the planet. And Afalna says, no, it's not that kind of power. The life force of all living things other than this planet becomes the energy.
Right. So it's not like that, like the ancients are able to actually heal the planet, but they're able to
like focus existing life force. He's interested that the snow never melts near the North Cave. That just makes sense.
Yeah, it's
just climate.
Cold climate.
Is that because the planet energy is gathered here to heal the injury? She says, yes, the energy that was needed to heal the planet withered away. Oh, I moved too fast. I can't read it all. The planet tried to persuade the Cetra to leave the Knowles Pole. So the planet was like, go away, I got this, basically.
Yeah, we don't need extra white blood cells.
Yeah.
Basically, but this is the first impact, right?
Right, yeah. First impact was,
and as we know, that was that was the great calamity from the skies. That was Jenova hitting the planet.
And in the storytelling, this particular video does not get into Jenova. Maybe it does. Who is the person that appeared at the North Cave? I haven't any idea. That's when the one who injured the planet, or the crisis from the skies, we call it, came. This is still Ifalna and Gast talking. It first approached it as a friend, deceived them, and finally gave them the virus. That's the huge, very underscored thing about this game. The Cetra were attacked by the virus and went mad, transforming into monsters.
That's wild.
Then, just as it had at the Knowles Pole, I think that's Gast talking, it approached other Cetra clans and infected them with the virus. You don't look well. Let's call it a day. So
she got the virus.
So yes, we can intuit the virus is Jenova. So Jenova is like a parasitic, symbiotic thing that goes from planet to planet, infects the living life there, and just destroys it by turning it into monsters. So everything we know in the world that's a monster is some living thing suffering from the Jenova virus.
Interesting. Because earlier in the game, you think that Hojo is making all the monsters.
Well, now he's doing it because he's actively working to spread the Jenova virus to see if he can hone the power of a Jenova monster for whatever.
For science.
For weaponry, whatever. Yeah.
So when describing the first interaction they had with Jenova, they refer to it as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Is Jenova it's so because this is all weird ancient history in a video, and it's fake.
And it's fake.
But when Jenova fell to the planet, was it just a human body falling to the planet, or is it does it assume a human body in order to trick? It's like The Thing in John Carpenter's The Thing.
I would say that's not explicitly explained in this computer data.
Yeah.
But I think we can infer that Jenova is able, one of its sort of weapons is a camouflage, kind of like Mystique from X-Men.
Oh, yeah. J-Law.
Every time we've seen Sephiroth so far,
right,
we've been seeing somebody infected with the Jenova virus assuming the form of Sephiroth to trick people into thinking that's the real Sephiroth.
Right. And we'll get to the real Sephiroth later in this episode.
Yes. So that's kind of the way I think of that.
I'll buy it. You know what? I've bought this game so many times. I'll buy it again. And again
I'll
and
buy
again
that
and
for $1. So the next chat they have is about the weapons.
Yeah. Oh boy.
The one the professor. So this is back to them talking on video. Professor Gast and Afalna. The planet knew it had to destroy the crisis from the sky. See, as long as Genova exists, the planet will never be able to fully heal itself. So the planet needs to completely destroy Genova to heal. Back then, weapon was a weapon the planet produced by its own will. We don't know what weapon is at this point. They're just talking about something called weapon,
Right.
proper noun. Yes, but there's no record. A small number of the surviving Cetra defeated Genova and confined it. I don't know what that means.
Like beat back the infection just to
Yeah.
one localized.
The planet produced
area.
weapon, but it was no longer necessary to use it. So it's, I believe they'll talk about maybe it's in a slumber here in a second.
The weapon works, from a planetary like health perspective, it works as like an antibody.
Yeah, it's there. So Falno says weapon cannot vanish. It remains asleep somewhere on the planet. Even though Genova is confined, it could come back to life at some time. The planet has not fully healed itself yet. It keeps watch on Genova. Interesting.
It's like being shot and never getting the bullet taken out. And like it just like continually like it's like you can beat the infection, but it'll still bother you.
Yeah, he asks where weapon is. Afalna says, I don't know. I can't hear the voice of the planet well. Times have changed. The planet is probably watching this situation closely.
It was like the president in the war room.
Yeah. And that's all we get on weapon for now. So that one's just kind of pure foreshadowing of something that's going to be very
So
obvious soon
cool.
and very cool.
So cool. So cool. There's a third one?
Yes. I believe the third one is kind of the crucial
This is the
conflict
big
of-
story part.
yes.
Um,
It's marked confidential. Daughter's record 10th day after birth
we
is the first one.
learn. Well, we know Fauna is Aerith's mother, right? We
Yes.
already established that.
And Professor Gast is her father. It was just established here. He wants to tape the early days of their daughter. What are you going to tape? Ifalna says. And then he says, no, that's not it. I'm going to record my beautiful daughter. And when she's sleeping, her face looks like an angel.
like a
Ifalna
dead
says.
angel, an angel in heaven.
This is another good thing, just to make us reflect on like Aerith as a child, right?
Yeah.
After we watched her brutally murder.
Absolutely brutally murdered. And then she was thrown in a body of water.
This is a bit of a translation error. This video is called 10 Days After Birth.
Yeah.
I guess maybe some people wait 10 days to name a child. They're still talking about naming the child.
Oh, cultures, all
Yeah,
different cultures
that's
have such like different rules about that.
Yeah. So that one was just to tell us definitively, Gast, Ifalna, those are Aerith's parents. And she was born here at the Icicle Inn where they were doing research.
Confirmed, Aerith was a baby.
All right. This is 20 days after birth. It's our lovely daughter, both yours and mine. Don't you want to capture her childhood on videotape? If you keep doting on her like that, she won't grow up to be something Aerith is different from the other children. I wonder what dangers await her. So Fauna's already worried, knowing her daughter is the last of the Cetra.
Yeah, for sure.
Gast is like, I'll protect you. I'm a man.
I'm a science man.
I'm a man of science, and I will protect you. You and Aerith are my only treasures. I'll never let you go. Then she's like, oh, well, I feel so much better now.
Oh, it's great. And it's not gonna
hug and kiss.
It's definitely not gonna be a problem when Hojo.
What do you know? There's a knock at the door.
When Hojo and a bunch of Shinra lackeys come and they just they gave him kind of a pretty brutal ultimatum.
Gast says, how dare they intrude on our quote private time like this?
Oh yeah.
They were about to get down, dude. I don't know much about post pregnancy, but I don't know if too many women are ready to get down 20 days after a baby popped out, but hey, if she is, good on her. Anyway, Yeah, Hojo shows up with some cops.
Wait,
And
that's where your mind goes?
yeah.
I was going to think like, 20 days after 20 days of getting birth, like it's probably not recommended to get shot by like cops in the winter.
Well, that too. Either of those things, probably not ready for. Anyway, the cops come and Hojo's like, Aerith, oh, that's a nice name. That's our baby now.
Yeah.
That baby
that's
belongs
company
to Shinra.
property.
Yeah. You're holding company property. We need to take it. And actually, he needs a Fauna and Aerith because he needs to get generations of Cetra for his experiments.
This is not the type of severance package you want from the company you've built your career out of.
Yeah. And then they shoot out the camera.
Shoot the camera, classic.
Be
Gotta
careful
love.
with her. What are you doing? Fauna, take Aerith and run. So Gas probably...
Rat-a-tat-tat.
Yeah, Gas got a little pop, pop. The ops got him. Hojo now has all the research, and that's
all we know from that.
what
and
we
then
get from the Icicle Inn.
what we know next in Ifalna's life is just that when Elmira finds her at the train station.
Mm-hmm.
So some serious business happens in between that video we just reviewed and Ifalna's eventual death. She travels continents. She goes across the planet from there. So one can only assume she was then taken prisoner by the Shinra.
Yeah, they were. This is explored a little bit more in depth in Remake. That there, while Fauna was alive, I believe Aerith grew up in the Shinra building, and you at one point you visit like her Shinra bedroom
Weird.
that like is decorated like a child's bedroom.
Yeah.
But it's still like a jail cell, in a weird science lab.
This is before she was found by Elmira.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they I believe most of Aerith's life was spent in there. It's odd that a child would come out that cheery after a childhood like that, but whatever. It's video games.
Yeah. And so how old? Because I guess in my mind I remember Elmira finding Aerith when she was a baby, but she was a child.
It's like she's like 5 or 6.
That's right. Because she's able to be like, "Hey, your husband's dead. Bummer about it."
Yeah.
Right. So back in Icicle Inn, Cloud, he just like snooped through those lab tapes, and we got some pretty heavy stuff about the girl of his dreams' parents. That is like brutal of the game to just
really,
kill Aerith and then
really laying it on
and be like, oh, you want to let's talk about Aerith some more.
Yeah.
But then we get to see my favorite Turk.
Yep.
Elena. She and some cops show up Icicle Inn, and this is it's like the avoid getting punched mini game.
Yeah, I don't even
didn't
know.
do it right.
I did, but I don't know what I did. I just sent some cops belly rolling down a hill somehow. That they what do they take a swing at you and you just have to move? It's very bizarre. I think the whole running thing with Elena is she's just sort of a bumbling dolt of a Turk here. She's constantly swinging and missing.
But she's eager. She's eager to prove herself.
Yeah.
And as a result, she every time you put yourself out there, you got a chance to fail.
Dodge that punch is the instruction that comes on screen, and then I guess you just press left and she goes rolling down the hill. Who knows? Maybe she's dead now. Who cares? That's the end of Elena. I don't know if it is or not.
No, it's not. That would be so sad. Because I assume she gets some pretty cool glow ups in the remake too.
Yeah.
And then she died in the cold.
So then we talked to somebody on the outskirts of the village as we're stuck with cops blocking us in the village. Yeah. And the person out there is like, I don't know, I guess you could snowboard down if you wanted.
That's right. You find a kid who's laid up with a bum leg, and he gives you his snowboard.
Yeah. And you're just like, okay, cool. I'm never giving this back. because
It's a key
there's
item.
no
man.
way to get back up here once I go.
Also, I mean, like, kid, don't just give your snowboard to strange men that just walk into your room. I don't know. The parents is that one of the parents right there? And whatever. But Cloud's got his gear.
This is a very kind culture here. Yeah. And there's a kid you can go sledding with. That's fun. I played with this kid's sled for a little while. I don't know. It's a cute little village, but not really much left there besides let's go snowboard.
Oh, I know, man. We just, and again, like the game just killed Aerith. And like just the saddest shit in my life has just happened. And then the game makes us a fun snowboarding mini game. A really sluggish and boring snowboarding mini game.
There's something odd about the placement of this. I think I can feel the sense of what they were going for. Of wow, this has been brutal for 2 hours. Right?
These kids need a break.
These kids need a break, 90s style.
That's right.
What's the coolest thing you can do in the 90s? You can have a guy with spiky hair and a big sword go snowboarding, doing sick tricks on a like rainbow colored snowboard for like 3 minutes straight with really bad controls.
Really bad.
And
balloons that you're supposed to like prioritize getting, and it doesn't reward you for doing.
Yeah, it's not even counting them.
It's this entire segment, this is its own engine in the game.
I know.
They specifically built an entire game engine. Like some people would just make this and release a game.
Right.
This is 1080.
Cool Borders, dude.
Yeah.
Did you play Cool Borders? I loved Cool
hate
Borders.
It, man.
1080 sucked, but Cool Borders ruled.
Those are different games. I've only played 1080. I did
1080
not like
is
it.
the N64 one.
Yeah.
Cool Borders was a series for PlayStation.
Okay.
It's pretty sick. It's a lot better than this. I can tell you that much.
But how is Cool Borders? How is their battle mechanics, and do they get as deep into materia?
There's actually a very lengthy turn-based battle mini game that you have to do to get better snowboards.
Yeah, you eventually snowboard your way to kill God.
So you snowboard forever.
Yeah. Because
they thought this was awesome and they put so much time into it.
Watching your playback, you're pretty good.
I did okay.
Take a compliment, man.
I don't even know if there's because now this is going to open up at the Gold Saucer eventually.
Right. Now you can play a video game inside the video game.
Very Yakuza-esque. I don't know, the snowboard game, it's there. It's a very odd moment, a very jolting change of pace. And you wonder, okay, Cloud snowboarded down, but like, how's everybody else getting down?
Right.
Like, what is just a very odd situation. I don't know if there's much else we need to say about snowboarding.
Okay. Campers, give me a comment below or write us in campvideogames@gmail.com. I want to know about every video game that you can play inside of a video game.
Yeah.
For example, with Final Fantasy VII, you've got the snowboarding game, you've got the submarine and the motorbike and the Moogle game, blah, blah, blah. For example, I remember this point and click adventure game called Willy Beamish. And in it, you could play basically like a Battletoads style game with the characters were like Battletoads-esque or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles inspired.
Yeah.
Right in other video games that have video games that you can play in them.
This might be a good opportunity to mention that. Okay, so we're recording this episode. What's the date today?
The 18th of February.
On February 18th. So a week and a half ago, the first demo for Rebirth came out. Yes. I played it the second it was available.
I knew you did.
I couldn't resist. I was going to try. I was going to try so hard.
Good for you though.
So I did a stream of it. It's on our Patreon and
patreon.com/campvideogames.
And I clipped it for TikTok. I clipped the part where you play piano.
That's right.
I don't know if you've watched it, dude. It's incredible what they do with the piano mini game in Rebirth. It's its own video game. It's the closest I've ever come to holding a controller and feeling like this is activating the same things in my brain that like trying to sight read piano music
That
does.
rocks.
It's insane. And it's clear from the demo, like, oh, you're gonna be able to get like multiple piano rolls of songs from the game throughout and go find pianos and like just play this game.
That's wonderful.
Oh, it's insane. I was losing my mind, so I just clipped it for TikTok. And I don't know what counts as viral. It's sitting at like 25,000 views. Or so. And yeah, I'm so stoked.
I assume, is that also Carl's manager?
Yes,
on TikTok.
Yeah. But that is also to say, like, I mentioned Yakuza earlier.
Yeah, that's right.
When you're talking about games inside of games,
Mhm.
that's kind of what Yakuza is it's like a frame built around, like, there's a frame of a very compelling like Japanese crime drama that you play through as the story for about 30 hours. But then inside of it are all these super deep mini games that you could just kill hours on.
That rocks.
Like yesterday, I'm playing Yakuza 0, and I went to the mahjong parlor.
Okay. Of course.
And sat down at the beginner's table.
I've never played mahjong.
Like was just like, I was like, I don't need the rules. I'll figure it out.
Oh, sure.
And just was like, what's going on? It's just insane. And it's like a deep, like, you can, like, could be a standalone mahjong game that you could sell, right?
There was video game mahjong like cartridge releases. I remember like Super Nintendo having a mahjong like cart.
And I've heard like, and there's also arcades where you can go and you can just play Outrun.
Oh, cool.
Like
the old racing game, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that like pole position where it's like you're behind the car?
Yeah.
Third person.
Or like Rad Racer.
Yeah.
That early Squaresoft game, Rad Racer. And then there's another game I forget. So it's like there's just actual full games all over Yakuza games.
That's so cool.
And then there's like 10 Yakuza games. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So that's to, I think, the pinnacle answer to your question about games inside of games.
I'm interested in old stuff too, because like I know that there are plenty of examples. Like I can think of I think it was Ridge Racer where you could play Galaga as well, or one of it was an early PlayStation game that the load screen you could just play Galaxian or Galaga or one of those arcade shooters. I don't know. It's the way my brain is shaped. I just like when things are in other things that they're not originally.
Yeah,
that's the whole thesis of camp video games. Really, is that, like, I like that there's movies based on games.
Yeah, and this episode we're recording right now, it's going to come out, I think, the weekend of Rebirth or the week after.
Yeah.
And based on that demo, it feels like Square has been working towards a Yakuza-like game, and this is going to be the one.
Really?
Like, based on that piano game.
Yeah.
And like just stuff they've shown in the trailers about like what they're going to do with chocobos and the fact that the gold saucer's in it. I feel like it's going to be the kind of game that's like you can blow through the story in 30 hours, or you can just live in this world indefinitely.
That's the way video games are being designed these days.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous, man. And it's just like I've gotten better at identifying the parts of games that I am going to have to ignore in order to move on with my life and to not just get wrapped up in the minutia of these little, ancillary segments of the game that maybe don't affect the end game at all, but you're just enjoying the time that you're spending doing it.
Yeah, hangout games.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Rebirth's one I might be hanging out with for a while. We'll see.
Yeah, I wonder how many hours you're going to suck into that game.
But in the meantime, we are lost in the snow in Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
Everyone's favorite part of Final Fantasy VII. After we land our snowboard and hopefully Can you miss the map in Icicle Inn and not be able to find your way around here?
I believe it's an essential item you have to get.
You can't leave until you take it.
There's a guy that you talk to right after Elena bumbles her way down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
He says something like, they're not very strong for the Shinra or something along those lines. He will stop you from going down the hill if you don't get the map and the snowboard. So once you have those items,
I've just always
chill.
Instinctively, I grab that 3D rendered map as soon as I see it.
Josh, I hate this part of the game.
I do too.
So
from here until the big climactic moment, I hate it. But I hate it. It feels like I hate it on purpose.
It's
right.
It's designed for you to dislike. I believe they made it confounding and they made it a little clunk. It's just a little clunky. So what happens is that Cloud and the gang they fall after snowboarding, and then you're just in this barren wasteland of snow and ice. And if you spend too much time just like walking around, Cloud will pass out from hypothermia.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wake up in an old man's hut. He's got like a snow shack, and it's a matter like you can choose to navigate. There's some unique materia that you can even get through here.
I killed so many dogs trying to get through this.
You can get the Alexander materia. Did you get that?
Oh my! So here's what had happened was, I thought I had a pretty good understanding of how to read this map.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, but like the way that you move on the screen does not necessarily correlate with which way you're going to be going on the map.
Yeah, like you have to like sort of reorient the way the background is presented to you to the map's direction.
That's right.
And I thought I had a pretty good grasp on that. And I'm pretty sure the Alexander materia is out on that little island cave, right?
Yeah, I didn't get to the Snow Woman.
The Snow Woman.
That's because you have to fight her in order to get the Alexander materia.
Mm-hmm.
But she'll only... So you have to touch the hot springs inside this big area. As you go through, there's all these different little areas of the map. And there's a hot spring. If you touch the hot spring and then you talk to the Snow Woman, she'll attack you. And then if you defeat her, you get the Alexander summon material.
I'm just gonna leave all this footage of me murdering dogs on for the YouTube viewers.
I did not, because you can return here after passing out, like with this after the snow guy.
Yeah, I just said F it to Alexander. Because my understanding was I thought Alexander was on that. There's like a little island, kind of like dead center.
Yeah,
I thought it was like in a cave in there.
That is a different area. That doesn't yield anything of note. I think you maybe that's where you get the added cut materia or the safety bit. I think
there's an added cut.
Yeah, added cut materia is found in here somewhere. It's dense. I didn't really explore it that thoroughly, so let's just keep moving on.
But yeah, I thought I was trying to get to that cave to get one of the top items. This is just my quick version of the story.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's when it was like, oops, you passed out.
Yeah.
Right when I was like, oh, I think I finally found where I'm trying to go. And I what the?
Yeah.
Yeah, this part sucks. It sucks a lot. But again, I wouldn't say it's like bad game design. I think I'm with the fact that it sucks on purpose. Like you got your party, like the example you gave of Fellowship of the Ring is a really good example. Thanks. Of like everybody is just like not feeling it right now because we just suffered a terrible loss. And now we're at this like awful slog of our adventure. Like this is like important narrative, like rising action or tension, you know?
Sure.
It kind of sucks as a player, but it's important. It wouldn't pay off as much later if you didn't suffer through this.
That's right. I hope when we get to the remake version of this segment, that Tifa is given a coat or maybe some like leggings, because right now she's in a sleeveless tank top I guess every tank top is sleeveless, but like a mid drift revealing and
Yeah. I mean, everybody's outfit I've been thinking in this section is just silly, you know?
Yeah.
I bet they will. I saw,
they're gonna give Cloud some cool cape or something. He's gonna look so hot.
Well, the trailer for Rebirth, the most recent one, had like, oh, here's the fan service shots of Tifa and Aerith wear new outfits when you go to Costa del Sol.
Uh-oh.
They're dressed for vacation.
Hey.
You get to see their midriffs.
Uh-oh.
So I assume when we get Snowy in the third installment in 6 years, that they'll do the same. Just for YouTube real quick. This is where I was when I passed out.
Yeah.
So this is what happens if you're running for too long. I don't know if there's like if you cross so many screens or what, but you just pass out and wake right up.
That's right.
In some house.
And no frostburn.
Nothing.
No hypothermia.
I'm fine.
Yeah. It's really nice of that old guy to save your life. And you can keep going out and passing out, and he'll keep rescuing you, and you'll keep waking up in his house.
But yeah, I'm not coming back here in this place.
No.
I don't need that Alexander
Thanks,
material.
Mr. Holds Off, but
is the added cut, that's not the 2x attack thing, is it?
Added cut is like if I like for example, the way I would use added cut is connect it to steel materia. So like if you don't
so it
have
turns it into mug.
But essentially you could do it to anything. I could do it with manipulation, or I think you can even just link it to like a summon materia just so you get a little bit extra damage there.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't need it. Yeah.
No, you don't need it.
All right.
That's the thing with materia in this game, is that like you don't really need like to maximize anything.
I mean, I need that 2x cut. That is
2x cut, because then you can eventually
when you get that
4x cut,
dude. So
that's 4 times as many cuts.
Yeah. When the
You
guy
do the math.
When the guy wakes you up, he sits you down on his couch and is like, "Y'all, it's hard climbing this mountain. My friend tried to do it." He sets it up like you're gonna discover his friend's frozen body.
God, that would be
climbing
awesome.
the mountain.
That would be awesome.
But yeah, he talks about, I live here and I help people climb, and he teaches you like, if you're gonna climb, you got to do this little huddle and run thing every little bit to keep your core temperature
boy,
up.
you want to get into the climb warmly mini game?
God.
Final Fantasy VII rocks, but the mini games are just awful. And I'm excited to see how the remake is going to improve upon it. Because we talk about the piano from the original game, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's just a jumble, and you're just like trying to figure out the layout. It's like trying to learn the ocarina without getting the visual feedback of what you're doing. And it's whatever. But most of the mini games in Final Fantasy VII, it can't be understated, have not been very fun.
No.
But they're there because they had the space. Because they had 3 discs.
So speaking of everybody's outfits, as we're at the base and ready to climb.
Yeah, lots of skin.
There's a lot of exposed skin.
Yeah, Yuffie, she's dead. Tifa, she's dead. Vincent, he's got a little cool cave, so he's all right. Red 13 Nanaki, I'm going to give him a pass.
He's got
fine.
a coat, you know.
Kate Sith, a.k.a. Kite.
He's a robot, so who cares?
And he's fluffy.
Cloud's got exposed skin. He's done.
It would be awesome if they just like gutted Kate Sith and like wore him
slept inside of him.
But I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
But this what do you call each screen that you can play on a panel? This whatever.
Sure.
They do a really nice job with the animation to show how absurdly cold it is.
Yeah.
The guy's waving a flag that is flapping hard up in this glacier. Like, it's clear it's frigid Arctic temperatures here. And then we just climb.
Yeah,
that's
right.
For a while.
The way the house is, you can either go up, which is to progress with the game, or you can go down if you want to go collect that bullshit. Don't bother with the bullshit unless you need it. Then you got to do it. It's just how it works. Climbing, the climbing warmly game. Cloud does a little dance to keep warm. Kind of the rubbing your arms when you're cold. Like, ooh. And as I think, the threshold for this is pretty forgiving. You can get up to 38 degrees warm I assume this is Celsius.
Yeah.
But the lowest you can get to is 26, and then Cloud will pass out, and I believe Hulzoff will find you again.
Oh, I didn't know that. As soon as I get down to like 33, I just start going, oh God, I gotta get it back up.
Yeah, you gotta psych yourself up.
Yeah, and he starts turning white.
Cloud does?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
But yeah, I mean,
boo.
You just keep climbing. And at this point, I'm spamming beta. Just
oh yeah,
get me through this.
I think it only uses 20 MP, and being like a damage all attack, that's still pretty well scaled for what it is. I assume it's on par with like Fire 2, in terms of damage.
Yeah, and I'm trying to track through. I don't know. Basically, you climb, you go in a cave.
Yep.
Is the first cave where you have to you see there's like there's a block, we can't go further or something.
Right. You gotta knock the boulder so it rolls into the ice wall.
And you basically, it's just a little frustrating. Like you get through a cave, you're like, okay, this has to be it. And then you keep climbing.
Yeah, then there's another cave that you go into. The only things of real consequence from these ice caves, first is you'll encounter the Marlborough enemy, which is like a Final Fantasy staple.
Yeah, I got that bad breath enemy skill.
Yeah, bad breath enemy skill. I also got wiped out by... It looks like the Materia Keeper boss that we fought, but it's just a small version of it, and it uses magic breath type, or not magic. Yeah. It's like that bubble attack that like.
Yeah, I think I survived it and learned it somehow.
But yeah, so I had to do the climb warmly video game twice.
Oh, that sucks.
It truly does.
Yeah, and eventually you get to this point where there's icicles hanging on the ceiling.
That's right.
And as you walk past each one, you have to fight a bunch of bats and an icicle.
This is where I got Tifa's next limit level. I finally got her level 2 limit break here, because I had Tifa set on the attack all route. And the way that I like to play these games is to maximize my efforts. I want Tifa at this point to be doing all of the killing so that I can get her next limit level.
Right.
And this is the segment where I got it, because you just kill like 5 bats at a time, like 4 times. And so I was able to really stack up some deaths there.
Yeah.
Take that out of context and it sounds like I'm a horrible person.
But like the thing about this section is like, you just keep fighting this same fight 4 times in a row. And it takes forever. You have to watch this stupid animation of the icicle slowly cracking and falling.
It's so stupid. Like, do they want us to just like hate this game now that Aerith is dead? Like the joy of life has left this game.
It truly has. Like, it's just, man, if they intended this to feel the way it does, where I'm like giving them credit, like they made it brutally tedious on purpose for this. I'd say this is about a 2-hour stretch, probably 3 or 4 hours on your first playthrough.
3.5 if you get wiped out by that stupid guy.
That they wanted this to be like a slog. They did a good job, I can tell you that much. But it's almost too much of a slog.
Yeah, absolutely. You eventually come across a hooded guy, a man in a black cape.
Yeah, dude, how stoked were you when you saw that guy? You're like, oh my god, finally something's happening.
Moving on. He dies, and then we fight the boss known as Schizo.
Yeah.
It's a cool dragon thing, and basically it's got a fire side and an ice side.
Yeah, I had a bit of trouble with it because I think I just wasn't really paying attention to like which side was which.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? I was just kind of like, just throw everything at it,
That's
and then I would
pretty much.
accidentally like cast a freet or something and heal the other side.
Oh, sure,
you know?
sure.
Like,
Yeah, you throw a couple Bahamut's, maybe a Odin, you'll be all right.
yeah.
Or just use like Trine is a good enemy skill to use on this guy because it ain't neither fire nor ice. But
yeah, and I was like, I think I was having a little bit of trouble balancing like my big guard versus like when I need to heal too. Because
Yeah.
the thing with big guard is it casts
Yeah.
shell, which makes your healing also decrease.
that's right. The easy solution to that is to just cast regen at the beginning of the fight.
Oh yeah.
But I like that. The like using magic barrier or big guard being casts barrier, magic barrier, and haste on your crew.
Yeah, dude.
What a great skill that you can get so early in the game. And it really does just like I didn't even bother learning barrier. Like
Heck no.
the green
Never use that
barrier
crap.
material. It's just big guard is so much although I think it
Probably costs more, but
it depletes more quickly than traditional barrier,
Yeah.
perhaps.
worth
I
it.
don't know. It is worth it. It's so worth it.
Oh, here was my problem. Okay, so the footage is on
yes.
screen right now. Notice that Vincent is in his Galleon beast form.
Typically a dope thing to happen.
Yeah, but he's berserked. And one of his attacks, which you cannot control, is a fire-based attack.
Beast flare.
So he kept casting Beast Flare and healing one side. So I had to race Vincent and hope he wouldn't cast Beast Flare. So that one was on me.
Yeah. What if
Eventually, I think he finally died, and I was like, okay, cool. We can finally beat this thing.
Vincent's a pretty cool character. He should get his own game.
I'll play it never. Anyway, so yeah, we defeat the Jabberwocky schizo, as they call it. But
That's right. I want to watch the FMV of the North Crater because that's the next thing I wrote after the schizo boss fight is just North Crater FMV. The FMVs in this game are just incredible.
Yeah, dude.
It's like,
wow, that fight really went on forever.
just like for the first time seeing video games as like on par with the production quality of movies.
Yeah.
This is you probably felt the same way of Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Just being like, this looks great, but what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Like it came out.
I saw it the day it came out.
Oh, me too.
And then I never saw it again because I was very confused.
Okay, so we're watching this FMV now of Cloud goes to the top of the Gaia's cliff, and he's now looking into where the great calamity of this from the skies impact point.
Where first impact Adam landed. Just kidding, Genova. Yeah, everything from here is like, okay, this was finally worth it, you know?
Yeah, this is such an incredibly cool, like, it sets such a massive scale where, like, you're this little person looking into this chasm. And it's just like, what could do this kind of damage to a planet like this? After 2,000 years, it's still this massive. The waves haven't eroded against this and, like, turned it into just another, like, valley. It's just this like removed from time ancient scar on the planet that is just incredible. It looks so good.
Yeah, and Tifa mentions like, oh, next time it ain't gonna be so small, which I don't know how they know that with certainty, but the point is Sephiroth has the goal to do this again so that when all of this energy, like all the life energy, all the life stream energy has to form to heal it, he'll be at the center of it, just gathering it and becoming a god. And we've reached reunion. We're gonna run into some back-taped men who are all gonna not make it the final couple hundred yards here.
Yeah. You could say even that like the path to Sephiroth is littered with his followers' corpses.
Yeah.
And going through these like, smoky, craggy mountain terrains, you find Neo Bahamut summon materia,
Yeah.
which is at this point this is our second Bahamut. I don't know the right way to say it. I've only read it.
Yeah, Bahamut is how yeah.
But-
They say it a lot in Final Fantasy 16. I think it's like they say like Bahamut.
Cool.
Bahamut. I don't know. It's whatever.
But
We're on the right track.
Now we've got 2 dragon buddies.
Yeah.
Because it's not, this ain't your daddy's Bahamut. This is Neo Bahamut. And I like that. I just want to like describe that summon where it's like the dragon isolates its target on a section of land,
So sick.
brings it up into space, and then blasts it with like the biggest like atomic breath. And then it falls to the ground.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
Yeah. And speaking of Final Fantasy 16, it pays homage to this pretty well in that there is a very incredible climactic fight with Bahamut that escalates into outer space.
Right on.
And it rocks so
That's
hard.
so cool.
Just massive kaiju battle in space.
Yes.
Anyways, moving along the crater.
There's oh man, we get a little cutscene. We realize that Rufus and Co. and Shinra Co. They are also they're about.
Yeah.
And they're in that big old airship we saw earlier at Junon Harbor.
And Kat Shi told us this on our way up the mountain. He was like, by the way, Rufus and company are probably on their way too. They think they're like, we found the promised land. This is where we're gonna build Neo Midgar or whatever. And Hojo's there.
I thought he quit.
I don't. Yeah, it's Hojo is like, I'm just here to watch the spectacle because the reason they're going there is wrong.
Yeah.
So he's just like, I just want to watch the chaos unfold.
It's weird. It just seems like either maybe a mistranslation for Costa del Sol, because like I don't think he was supposed to have just like quit, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It seems like a inconsistency in the story.
Yeah, it was because my memory is also that he said he quit.
Yeah,
but
I'm wondering if that was just a mistranslation, or he's
Yeah.
like, they maybe he in the original text said like, I'm taking a break.
Yeah. Anyway, we continue on up the crater and see the next after we run through the wind cross when the wind is down mini game, which escalates to be very frustrating at a certain point. The next space we reach is the climb where all the black caped men are falling off, and they're like not making it, except Cloud's making it.
We see Sephiroth just like kill his own followers.
Yeah.
And it's well, let's see, like to scrub forward on this, we get to the crowd, like the crew's like approaching Sephiroth. The wind barrier segment is very tedious.
I fought so many of these stupid little wing dragons.
Let's scrub through this to get to the Sephiroth part.
Let's get to the good stuff. The gameplay of this, it drags a little longer than need be, but we eventually hold on. Where do we see Sephiroth? There we go.
Yeah, we see Sephiroth kill one of his black hooded guys. Cloud approaches him, and Cloud says to Sephiroth, "This is the end."
Yeah, Cloud's in final boss fight mode.
Sephiroth says,
not.
"This is the end of this body's usefulness," and he disappears. After he disappears, they're looking around for him, and Sephiroth appears from the sky. And I'm going to say that he summons Genova. Like he's like treating Genova like a summon at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But we fight Genova death. And pretty much this is the same character model as the other Genovas.
Yeah, I think they pretty much just changed up like the color scheme. And I recall this fight just being a sort of blast through their HP. And
Yeah, it has 25,000 HP. But if you just cast Big Guard at the beginning, like especially with your crew all on haste, it really just increases your like attack output.
Yeah, and first and foremost, though, we got to use that new Neo Bahamut materia. So yeah, I mean, it's like immediately shaved off a bunch with that. It uses this, what is it, like red eye, red laser, red something a lot,
yeah, that's
which is a
right.
fire-based attack. So if somebody,
red light.
If somebody is wearing the fire armlet that you found where those icicles were dropping, it's almost impossible to lose this fight.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
because they're going to continually get healed by its most common attack, even if you let the others die. But
you can at this point. Also, because I've been following along in the official strategy guide by David Cassidy of Final Fantasy VII, it gave me a heads up. It was like, you might want to equip your crew with the fire ring or two. You can also, what I did was equip like the Ifrit summon with elemental materia
on the armor.
And then also, I think the dragon armlet, it reduces half damage from fire, ice, and lightning. There's so much option. There's so many options on
this is a very cheesable boss.
Yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
a big challenge at this point if you've been at all paying attention.
After you defeat Jenova Death, Cloud gives Nanaki the black materia for safekeeping. Did it have you give it to Nanaki by default as well? I'm not sure if that's like one of the randomizable parts of the game, but for me, I talked to everybody because Cloud was like, somebody should hold on to the black materia.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked. I did not know that.
The black materia shows up after you defeat Jenova.
Yeah,
So-
but I was shocked that one, that for some reason defeating Jenova means the black materia is just there. I guess that's part of Sephiroth's plan,
it must be delivered unto me.
Is that like, this is the last survivor of my reunion of Jenova infected boys. Let's hand him the black materia and see if he can get it to me, I think is what Sephiroth's doing here. So Cloud takes it and is like, Red 13, Nanaki, you need to hold on to this. And I even tried. I talked to everybody else.
Same. I didn't, first went to Yuffie because I was like, you like materia, right, Yuffie? Like, why don't you hold on to this?
I mean, I was like, I trust Tifa the most, so like, I think that's who should have it.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, Tifa and Barrett are my most trusted party members.
I mean, they're your oldest crew.
Yeah, but Nanaki, I think, is he's we've gotten his story has told us he is in it for the right reasons. If we're talking the Bachelor rules, he's here for the right reasons.
Oh,
Yuffie, not Yuffie villain arc at this point.
Villain arc
still hasn't been redeemed quite yet.
I love her so much. Who doesn't love a bad girl?
Yeah. So yeah, you give it to Nanaki, and then what happens? What order? I want to make sure I get the order of things right here.
After that, Sephiroth is like showing like illusions to Cloud when he approaches, and we get like, okay, we're gonna get into the.
Oh, we've got another mini game of crossing at the right time. I forgot about.
Fuck that.
Then we get to see Sephiroth's version of the Nibelheim flashback.
Yes. Okay. We see not Cloud in the role of Cloud as the story we were told in Calm. We see not Cloud. We see a dude with black hair that looks like Cloud, and he's got Cloud's sword, and he's wearing Cloud's pajamas, and Cloud's hair looks a lot like his, except Cloud's blonde.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just like copy and paste the things that we saw when Cloud told the crew about his relationship with Sephiroth, starting with the Nibelheim incident.
Yeah.
It's I can say with full confidence that the first time I played this game, I had no idea what was going on.
Oh, absolutely. Totally. Like, I think at this point, my first time, I'm buying Cloud's version of this.
Sure. I mean, why would we not trust the main character?
Why would we not trust the guy on the cover of the game with the giant sword, the tough, strong, whatever, the young boy power fantasy? Why would we not trust him?
With all that strength, there must be some like self-confidence and like a being true to this thine own self.
Yeah. And now that I've played the game enough times and I am a adult, I can understand Cloud's behavior in this scene where he's trying to be like, yeah, it's an illusion.
I don't have a problem.
I'm not going to be the one who runs out of the mansion. He's very insecure as he's saying this. He is not as confident as he's leading on.
Well, and to be fair as well, they're being shown this by Sephiroth, who just killed the girl of his dreams. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Cloud is inclined to really trust Sephiroth at this point. So I mean, it's like, I think Cloud's playing it off as like, the devil's a liar.
But again, the insecurity comes from he's had enough of these glitches in his memory that he's like, but something is off.
Yeah, the vibes perhaps.
The vibes are bad about my memories.
I'm sus.
Yeah, so I'm reading his tone in this flashback so different than I did the first time.
Yeah. And also quite notable is that Tifa is like, I don't want to see this. I don't like this. Like, Cloud, don't make me do this.
Yeah.
She's obviously quite affected by the potential of there being a alternate narrative to this important sequence of events. We go back, Nibelheim's burning, and Sephiroth says, what you remember, that is the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I mean, what's really creepy. Oh, I got some footage of this too. As they're having this talk, there's a dead Nibelheim villager, just like off to the side, next to Barrett as he lays. In my playthrough, his eyes kept glitching. And it's like they were like fluttering open and closed while he's just laying there dead. And it's incredibly creepy.
Yeah. And one thing that's interesting about this, though, is in this scene that we're talking about.
Yes.
The one that was just on screen, if you're with us on YouTube.
The quote-unquote illusion that Sephiroth is showing the crew.
Cloud says, I remember like the fire, the heat on my body, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So like, spoilers, if you're playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time, both of them are right.
Yes.
About that.
Yes.
Which is really interesting. Like Sephiroth is right that this is the real version of what's happening.
Yes.
That's actually what happened. But Cloud is also right that
he
was there, and that memory of the fire and the heat and the pain is real.
Yes.
We don't know how those are both true yet, but they're both right right now.
Isn't that interesting?
And Tifa's making some choices. Tifa has closer to the full story and is... we'll get there in this episode. So
she's
we'll
being evasive right now.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sephiroth says that Hojo made Cloud after the Nibelheim incident, and that Cloud is incomplete, an incomplete Sephiroth clone who was given no number. So worthless that he was not given a number.
Yeah, and this is something we'll explore in a couple episodes with the OVA that sort of condenses portions of Crisis Core, basically.
Okay, yeah.
What exactly it is that Hojo did with Cloud. Like, again, it's like Sephiroth's not entirely wrong about that.
He's portraying hard truths with like a malicious intent, and there's still a sense of manipulation, even if he's telling the truth right now.
Yeah. But this part, 5 years ago, you were constructed by Hojo piece by piece right after Nibelheim was burnt. That's a half-truth.
Yes.
A puppet made of vibrant Genova cells, her knowledge, and the power of Mako. That's a mostly kind of truth. An incomplete Sephiroth clone, not given a number, that is your reality. So yes, all of this is sort of half-truth that we're going to find out a lot more about in our next couple episodes.
Yes. Yeah, Tifa is just begging Cloud to ignore Sephiroth. She would rather remain in the dark about the true sequence of events, perhaps. It's hard to face your past sometimes.
But she is bringing up our childhood memories.
Yes.
That's like as much as she can bear to like reveal of her reality at this moment.
Right. Cloud.
And that is true. She has childhood memories of a Cloud.
And Cloud even says to Tifa, "You said long time no see. Those words supported me." Like because Cloud is like, it's like he's like waking up at the beginning of Final Fantasy VII. Like he's like been in this like weird like half life in a way where like he doesn't even have his own name at the beginning of the game. He's just ex-soldier. That's all he's like presenting himself as. And as it goes on, of course, like, you know, you're like, well, you're not ex-soldier, you're Cloud. And you're like, okay, who's Cloud? And it's almost like, well, we'll get to it. But it's almost like the game wasn't lying at the very start when it told you who this main character is. We'll get to it.
I love Barrett just standing there in silence through this.
Yeah. look at the dead villager.
Oh God, he just winked at me.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that's just a fluke, or if maybe one of the game designers had something to say about that, where the dead man's winking at you.
All right, so this is important. This is what explains everything we know about how Sephiroth works. I'm talking about text box that we have up on the screen here. The ability to change one's looks, voice, and words is the power of Genova. That's how Sephiroth is everywhere. That's how he has all these powers. We've never seen the real corporeal mortal body of Sephiroth up to this point.
That's right. We've seen a projection of sorts.
We've seen, he is able to, based on what happened to him after the Nibelheim incident, like sort of infuse himself into Genova and show his form through anything that's been infected by the Genova virus, kind of.
Which is like a geo plague that has like corrupted the entire planet.
Yes. And then what happens?
Sephiroth shows Cloud the picture.
Oh, yeah. Why the picture itself is so important is I don't know. It's quite funny, but we do quite the build up to it. He's also trying to further confuse of like, well, like maybe Tifa projected a memory of a boy named Cloud onto you to create your personality, which is now him just like riffing, like, I don't know, man. You're my puppet. Who knows how this happened? You know, like, so that's him trying to be like hedge his bet on his ability to control Cloud. It's like, I don't know, she probably made you up.
The devil's a liar.
Yeah. Then we get to the picture. We're gonna see long black haired guy in the picture.
Where's Cloud? But it's I love Tifa's cowgirl outfit. It's charming.
Does he pull the picture off the photographer, the winking photographer?
Yeah,
that's great. Right. I love that.
This is all so creepy.
Like, it's just like in his pocket. He just so happens to be laying there dying, listening to all this, and he pulls it from his pocket. And again, Cloud is doing this thing where he's still saying, like, this is an illusion. I'm confident. Don't worry. I got this, girl. And then, boom, he's not in the picture, obviously. We get Cowgirl Tifa. Do we know enough at this point to be like, that's probably Zach?
Sure, it's Zach.
It's
we met his parents back in Gongaga. Zach is fulfilling Cloud's role in this memory. That's all we really know at this point.
Yeah. But we've never seen Zach before. So, like, first time player, you're probably like, what? That's just some random black haired dude. You're not going to connect to, like, oh, that's probably the only other named soldier we've heard about.
Yeah. Besides Joe, or who was the guy?
Yeah, I don't know. But what gets Cloud to finally collapse is he has no memory of joining Soldier.
Right.
And that's when he starts going a little nutty and buying the narrative because he's run out of like runway of memories.
Can't make any more excuses right now.
He says, I didn't have to worry about it. Like, I didn't have to worry about joining Soldier because trails off and says, oh, let's go, Tifa. I'm good.
Maybe I do have a problem.
Yeah. And then who shows up but President Shinra Rufus himself.
So his full name is Rufus Shinra?
I believe so.
Right? Because like it was President Shinra. I never thought of that. Hi, I'm Rufus Shinra.
Yeah,
it does not roll off the tongue.
I assume it's based on the name of the et cetera, et cetera.
Because he was just called President Shinra, the one that got killed by the Sephiroth, whatever.
Yeah. This is a good point to bring up a little fun trivia.
Ooh.
That the closest sort of canonical fan theory you can make of something like really crazy in the Final Fantasy world of like games overlapping or taking place in the same world is in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
And 10-2, there is a character named Shinra, and he's a like a engineering whiz boy, and in 10-2, I think he sort of alludes to some new discoveries he's making, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know, and I think they intended it as just like a fun wink,
a little wink, wink.
Yeah.
Because 10 was the first one on PlayStation 2.
Yes.
And for a lot of people, I think a lot of people skipped 8 and 9 for some reason. I don't know. 10, to my recollection, was like the next big Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
7.
fair. 8 and 9 were like just a little bit of, to get into sort of like, I don't know, a little bit of development history is after the success of 7, they were like full bore Final Fantasy everything.
Yeah.
So like 8, 9, 10, 11, and the movie were like all in production at the same time,
Good
basically. Well, 8 I think was done pretty quickly after 7, but yeah, like they had a big event where they announced 9 through 11 in the movie all at once.
Wow. With Tactics alongside 7.
Somewhere Tactics was shortly after this because you can get Cloud in Tactics.
That's right. Oh, I forgot about that.
But anyway, so back to this Final Fantasy X rumor thing.
Right. So you meet a little boy named Shinra.
Yeah, and he's this race called Albed, which they're sort of like desert nomad people in a way.
Okay.
And they dress kind of like Mad Max like.
Cool.
They have this very sort of like East Soviet Balkan like aesthetic to them, and to make them feel sort of other in their world, because there's a little bit of like a racism towards them in the world of Final Fantasy X. So that's all to set up. He just has a very unique look. He has this like gas mask looking thing that he wears. And then in Final Fantasy VII Remake, you're forced to take a tour of like the history of Shinra in the
Uh-oh.
headquarters.
Okay.
And there's a picture of like sort of like the first staff of Shinra, and that character as an adult is like front and center in that picture.
Holy shit. You think is it just an Easter egg, or do you think that they're actually setting up?
I believe the developers have said no, it's an Easter egg.
Yeah.
You know? And like you can have fun with that theory if you're that kind of person, though, that like the world of Final Fantasy X does suggest that it's a world where like civilizations have risen and fallen technologically a couple times over thousands of years.
Sure.
That it kind of makes sense that this could happen. But as developers, they've just been like, nah, it was just a fun Easter egg to put in there.
You come across those types of continuity like blips in these like long storied series.
Yeah.
You know, like Legend of Zelda first comes to mind when I think about just like, is that official or is that just the developers having fun with that reference? It's there's I love when you're rewarded for being on the inside with that, you know, just like keeping up with the series.
Yeah.
It's
that was a really good one. I mean, I did have like a oh shit moment when I saw that character in remake. So it was a nice placement. But within this world, it only goes so far as President Shinra, who has no first name, and then Rufus Shinra.
Shinra.
Yeah, his son, who has arrived at the core of the crater. And
like this
where do we go from
ice
there?
Cavern. So yeah, Rufus and Scarlet and Hojo. They're looking at this gigantic ice wall. What seemingly is ice, but what they've found is some huge materia that's at the center of
at least they
like
think
a
it
root
is
system. Yeah. It's ethereal. It looks magic, but who knows what's inside of it. But
Hojo, however, is again, he's just following, almost just a troll.
Yeah. He just came to be a hater.
He said, as they're like Scarlet and Rufus are losing their minds over, we found the promised land. Hojo behind is just quite like, there's no such thing as the promised land. It's a legend, an old wives' tale. It's ridiculous. Worth noting there. So Rufus, like, he knows where they are. I'm not sure why he chose to be here, because he should know how kind of dangerous what's probably going to happen is, but okay.
maybe in when they cover this in the remake, as long as that will take, they'll go with the same route with President Shinra and remake, where he didn't go on the bridge before the Airbuster fight. It was
right.
It was
right.
They
hologram.
just sort of,
yeah. They also now at this point, Weapon opens its eye in the
big
background.
Old gigantic Godzilla-sized eyeball.
And Hojo is still just having a good yuck. He's just like, oh, that's Weapon. Don't worry about that.
It's just like the thing of legend that was designed to protect the planet.
That was designed
injury.
To brutally stop anybody from doing what we're trying to do.
Exactly what we're trying to do. Yeah. Nanaki gets back at the site of where Cloud gave Nanaki the black materia. He like it's like it seems like some psychic fog is getting put over his receivers, and he's like in the middle of this like gaseous windstorm where everyone else disappears except Tifa, who's tells Nanaki, hey, come follow me this way. Nanaki is just like confused. I mean, he's just like baffled right now. Tifa convinces him to just go forward, like go help Cloud with Sephiroth. And then we see Tifa wasn't really Tifa. It was Sephiroth.
Because remember what Sephiroth just told us about Genova?
That's right.
Yeah, he's playing that trick over and over and over and over again.
In the middle of putting forward a false front, he was also able to hide everyone else. It's interesting what this magic is, but
Yeah.
Highly convenient for a villain.
Yeah. And then I guess away from the illusion world, Cloud, Tifa, and I don't know if Barrett's forced to be in the party, if I just had him. We just show up in the middle of the Shinra gang and they're like, hello.
So like Sephiroth transported them there.
Yeah. And Cloud is resigned at this point. It seems obvious to play his role for Sephiroth.
Yeah.
And Tifa has now, like, her communication to Cloud has converted. The way it's telegraphed to the player is it's no longer in text box. It's just plain white text on the background.
That's right.
As if sort of like
it's being muffled out.
It's muffled. Cloud can't hear her. And he asks for the black materia from Nanaki. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's interesting. Like Cloud is compelled to do it. He tries to fight himself. Like if you're given control of Cloud, you can have him move toward Nanaki. If you try to do anything else, it's like he's like struggling to hold himself back.
Yeah,
it's very similar to when you were compelled to almost decapitate Aerith with the Buster Sword.
Yeah, and it seems odd that Tifa's still yelling, and no one's stopping.
It's Cloud gave Nanaki the black materia. He's like, here, hold on to this. I don't trust myself. And then he's like, I'll take that back now.
There's one text box that comes up. I want to kind of see if I can back up to it. That is very curious to me. That when we get a flash of white, when Cloud receives the black materia from Nanaki, there's like two different voices. Oh, let's see if I got it. Come on, the black materia. It's in like a gray red.
Yeah.
And please wait just a little longer. I don't know who's saying please wait just a little longer, but I interpret that like red, black, gray text as like that's just straight up Jenova.
Yeah.
Saying,
that's fun.
Yeah.
I think Tifa would be the please wait just a little longer.
Yeah.
But that's up for interpretation.
Like that.
I like the idea of Jenova speaking directly to you because Genova's done that before.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever seen text treated that way with that reddish. It was interesting.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've noticed it. Anyway.
When we fight Jenova life or birth, perhaps. Birth, because that's on the ship. Jenova tells Cloud that he's a puppet as well.
Mm-hmm. At this point, Cloud is resigned that he does not believe he is the Cloud that Tifa remembers.
He's talking.
He believes her memories created whatever he remembers about being Cloud.
His tone. Cloud is speaking
resigned.
Like a person about to kill himself.
Yeah.
He says to Tifa, maybe one day you'll meet the real Cloud. And he says, he apologizes to everybody. He says, everyone, thanks for everything. And I'm sorry.
This is wild. I mean,
he says, I never lived up to being Cloud.
Like,
this is all very tragic. Like coming to grips with like my whole life is a lie. And like Cloud is just so resigned, I think is the word, where it's just it's tragic and like the most gut-wrenching way of just being calm in the face of absolute uncertainty. He has no idea who he is at this point, and now he's just like, I don't like. He begs Hojo for a number. It's almost out of character with the Cloud that we met at the beginning of the game. He's just like the toughest, most nonchalant, like jaded, narcissistic, just the action hero avatar. But now he's just been reduced to like a child. Like he's reverting.
I mean, and this is go back to 11 or 12-year-old me, just mainlining this game late at night, where it's like Cloud has been this like fantasy hero to project myself onto, my sad little like depressed picked on little self is like, someday I could be big and strong like this guy. And then all of a sudden I'm like, what? No, you're supposed to be the big, strong, perfect hero. What is going on? It's very confusing because you've been taught through just like the nature of, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of typical hero's journey. He's in the
cave right now.
Yeah, like he's deep in that uncertainty point. But children's media that you've probably been exposed to outside of this is usually just like the good guys are good guys. They're always going to be good.
Yes.
The G.I. Joes always win by shooting lasers at the feet of the Cobra.
This is why Link never talks in The Legend of Zelda.
This is baby's first experience with like, oh, the hero struggles. The hero's not perfect.
Yeah. Is Cloud an anti-hero even?
I wouldn't go that far because I think of anti-hero as like I'm not a big fan of like the anti-hero thing.
I immediately think of like the Punisher as an anti-hero.
I think of Walter White.
Okay.
Breaking Bad. I don't know the Punisher's backstory well enough, but I think
his family got murdered by the mob and he started killing mob bosses.
Yeah. I think of the anti-hero as the Walter White, like, oh, you started from a noble place and you let it like destroy you.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be Cloud's arc.
That's not Cloud at all. He's like the opposite of an anti-hero.
Yeah, I think he's just a classic hero's journey kind of guy, and we are in the depths of the bad stuff.
Yeah, he's at his lowest point right now.
Yeah.
There is okay. Cloud is coming to grips with learning that he is a Sephiroth clone. He's told that he's a Sephiroth clone, which means he is comprised of Jenova and Mako. It's more than just Jenova, and it's not just the Mako. The reunion, the idea of the reunion, we learn is that, like, okay, Jenova being this organism that spreads, it also, I see like the Jenova reunion as like when in Terminator 2, when the T-1000 is like collecting the last little bit of its metal back to itself, you know, like it like flows into its foot or something, I think.
Right.
And it's just this organism, it's like a million different cells that all create into one giant superorganism. And the reunion was all of the Sephiroth clones coming back to the life stream, I suppose, to die there so that they can lend their cells back to the order
and to get the black materia to Sephiroth. What I don't understand is Hojo's motivation for like being an active participant and trying to make it happen.
I think it's just the mad scientist who'd rather see the world burn.
That's the best I can understand.
Which is, you know, it's a tired cliche, but it's tired because because it works.
Like, if there is anybody who is just inherently evil in this game, it is Hojo.
Yes. Yes. Sephiroth is a man who was broken.
Yeah, like even Sephiroth is like pretty similar in experience to like what Cloud has gone through, but he chooses to lean into it as opposed to resist it.
That's a good way of putting it. It's like the dark side, light side of the force kind of.
Yeah, like it wasn't Sephiroth's choice to be born like a Jenova cell infused super soldier.
Right.
But then to lean into it and say, well, I guess I might as well get as much power out of this as possible and try to become a god is his divergence from what Cloud's going to choose.
Nature
eventually.
Versus nurture.
Yeah.
There's a lot that could be like taken out of what like Sephiroth's like road to villainy, because like a lot of villains, he starts off as kind of a pitiable character, in the tragic upbringing that we've learned about, in little snippets at least. But back to what's going on with like Cloud, like talking all like he's like giving his goodbyes and his apologies to everybody. Because I mean, I do think he believes this is it for him.
Yeah. And the scene where he is upside down next to what we're gonna find out is like the storage of Sephiroth's body.
Yes, and
responding just to himself to what Hojo's saying is it's fantastic.
When the shocking image that we see, right, where when Cloud delivers the black materia to Sephiroth, is that Sephiroth's, it's his torso that's like floating in this crystalline sack. But I always wondered, why is it just his torso? But this is the real body of Sephiroth.
Yeah.
That was
he's fused into this massive pool of materia.
He was stabbed in the back and then fell into the life stream. At the Nibelheim reactor.
He's thrown in.
I think different interpretations that go through.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It'll come up. In the meantime,
I always wondered why when this weird egg sac comes down and we see Sephiroth's torso and then it kind of like fades out. It's because he got stabbed through his torso. I assume that like it's, you know, like at the end, or not the end, but in Phantom Menace when Darth Maul's body falls into it, cuts in half. I think that's my retcon of what happened to his body, and that's why it's just his torso in that materia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll learn more about how Sephiroth got there. But we've revealed the body of Sephiroth after Cloud laments sort of his realization. We skipped over this just a little bit, that like, oh, I was being summoned by Sephiroth.
Yes,
I wasn't hunting him.
I wasn't coming here of my own like choice. There was the illusion was the free will, and
there is some truth to that. After the body of Sephiroth has been revealed, Cloud has the black materia. He's flying around, and he's eventually going to hand it to Sephiroth.
Yes.
And that's when all heck is gonna break loose.
Oh, shucks, howdy, does
this
it?
This is in Final Fantasy VI, the equivalent to Kefka moving the statues all around.
This is the world-altering moment. The materia starts to glow when it is joined with Sephiroth, and like this big electrical surge starts what looks like, you know, like the self-destruct sequence of like a base or something. But like the ceiling comes down, Sephiroth's crystal is followed by all this like, is it just like water and ice and debris?
I just see them all sort of like live stream materials.
Yeah.
And somehow everybody got on the high one pretty quick.
They did it, man. And then the giant crab.
Yeah. So the weapons, we see all the weapons come out, and there's
Diamond Weapon, and we'll see the American exclusive at the release of this game. We'll see little flashes of Ruby and Emerald.
Yeah, we get
Ultimate Weapon or Diamond Weapon.
That's Ultimate Weapon with the wings. I love that they're like half mech, half
so cool.
Corporeal form, or like organic. You know, and then when he flies away, jiggle physics on Tifa.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
Well, you know, you gotta be realistic, don't you?
Yeah, sure. But these weapons flying out can be very confusing if you did not stop at the Icicle Inn computer.
Oh, for sure.
And even then, it's like, what? It's a lot to add on to this, like, nearly world-ending cataclysm. And that is the end of this very climactic moment. Cloud has disappeared in that massive pile of whatever collapsed with Sephiroth.
Yes. Cloud has surrendered to Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Basically, like from the team's perspective, Cloud has just given up and has aided the main villain of their, like that, like, you know, the Antifa, whatever. Cloud's a Nazi now.
Yeah. And then love this, like, that we'll find out what's happening here in a second, but Tifa is chasing a Cloud who is fading into the distance on a black screen.
Yeah.
And this is kind of all the explanation we get for why she wasn't intervening in his unreliable narratorship.
Sure.
Of the fact that, like, she's like, I didn't know what to do. I found somebody who looked like you at the train station. I assumed it was you and rolled with it. And we see that moment of them meeting.
This maybe explains why Tifa was so concerned with, like, Cloud's mental state when she found him at the Don Corneo's mansion when Cloud's all galled up. Where she's like, I really don't know what Cloud's going through right now.
Yeah.
Who is Cloud?
Yeah. So,
but yeah, at the same spot where Elmira found Aerith, Tifa found Cloud.
Yeah, it's almost like she wonders, is like, was I being manipulated by Jenova? Like, was this a Jenova clone who took the form of Cloud as, like, a way to manipulate me into, like, playing out this scenario?
That's wild.
She seems like a little uncertain, but she's also sort of, like, apologetic of, like, maybe I should have intervened when all these conflicting stories were being told.
Yeah. It's you know, some people just don't want to rock the boat. Some people don't like to be the correct, like, to correct people.
Yeah, this is back to my evidence of, like, Tifa's a little bit of a cop. Like, she's just sort of like, I got to protect my, I don't know. There's just something about Tifa that is not as affable as Aerith to me.
Yeah, sure. I think Tifa is a victim in this. I don't see her as, like, making, like, calculated decisions to like interfere with anything. I just see her more as just like, because I didn't speak up, I might have caused a bit more harm, or, you know, I caused some harm as a result of not speaking up.
Yeah. I didn't know what to do, so I thought I missed the text box. I was trying to read the text, but yes, she is laying out, like, this was weird. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, she didn't understand.
So I rolled with it as the best I thought I could.
She did not understand, like, Cloud's memory issues. She was just, like, concerned with his well-being. She has childhood, you know, connection with this kid, and finding, you know, it's like, imagine, like, a childhood friend showing up in your life, completely phased and dazed, and just, like, is gonna, like, you think that you're the only person in the world that can help them. I immediately think of, like, friends who, you know, dealt with, like, addictions, and where it's just like, how do you help a person if they're, like, not telling a full, complete story, and their memory is just, like,
yeah,
you know, and I really sympathize with Tifa in a lot of the ways, and I think she doesn't want to rock the boat because she's afraid Cloud will just, like, drown as a result. And she doesn't want to upset an already delicate, like, psyche.
Yeah. And I mean, we're gonna like give her a chance to, like, redeem what she now feels is maybe, like, a screw up, you know, through the next couple scenarios that are gonna play out here. In the meantime, though,
good golly,
we
we
wake up.
Tifa wakes up.
Yeah,
after all this crazy shit happens, right? Like, the last we know of Tifa is that she narrowly escaped the weapons emergence and the reunion of Cloud and Sephiroth and the delivering of the black materia. The whole gang escapes on what we learn is called the High Wind, the airship that Rufus and Shinra flew into the crater on. She has been asleep for 7 days.
Convenient.
Final Fantasy 7 days.
Convenient number choice.
And Barrett is in, like, the hospital wing of where are they? They're in
Junon.
Yes, that's right. Oh boy, are they. Right. So she's in, like, a hospital bed. Barrett is just like, he's been watching over her, making sure she's okay. But they're prisoners of Shinra right now, and this is like such a cool cinematic moment that happens when Barrett kind of like to really bring Tifa up to speed on what's going on. Opens the blinds.
It's so good.
Oh boy.
I like lost my mind at this
it's so
reveal.
Effective.
That yes, he will open the blinds and reveal to Tifa that the sky seems to have changed a little bit since you've been down for 7 days.
Yeah, that's a big nap. That's a big nap.
So yeah, he unfurls the blinds. The sky is red, and there's a massive ball of fire hanging over the world.
What's that dark orb next to it? Was that just a lens flare?
It's either the moon or a piece of it that's orbiting because it's so big. It has things in its own orbit. And then there's me as a Tifa. I'm just running around freaking out playthrough.
Yeah.
We have to give up.
Barrett just says, "Dunno."
President
we learned that the Shinra's plan is to publicly execute the Avalanche members who caused this. Yeah. They're going to blame all of the world's problems on the little militia.
It was Avalanche that invaded the Northern Crater on January 6th.
It was Antifa.
Yeah. It wasn't us. They're very good at that. This is the second time they've tried to blame horrible things they've done on Avalanche.
Hey, man, you don't get to the top without stepping on a few heads.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rufus plans to publicly execute the team as a crowd-pleasing moment. He's just like, I just feel like, our constituents, they need a little boost. We're getting pretty close to the end of the world here.
Morale booster.
And, we just need to blame it on somebody.
That's some classic fascism.
Dude, it's so we now take control over Barrett as Tifa is being led to a gas chamber. Good God. Like,
dark stuff.
Yeah.
We are in a dark period.
Scarlet is a sadist.
This game gets real dark for a real long while.
I mean, so what we're doing as the player right now is we're following Tifa on the way to be executed.
And there's nothing we can do.
This video game just killed Aerith. As a gamer, you're like, are they about to kill Tifa as well? Like,
and maybe Cloud was killed.
And Cloud's dead, and maybe, who knows who's in charge at this point. And like, I did not put it past the game to just, let's kill Tifa too. Except this one, we're going to gas her on live TV.
Yeah.
That is just, this game is like
top tier fascism.
Really playing with my emotions. While there's a giant meteor looming over the planet, we're just gonna
and giant kaiju.
Yes. Oh my God. There are several Godzillas, and Majora's Mask is mooning all over the place.
It just really racked them all up here. As many just calamities as possible to make you go, it's all over, man.
Dark era, the late mid 90s. I think in video games, I just made the Majora's Mask reference, and then I'm about to make a Metal Gear Solid reference where it's instead of surviving electric torture as Solid Snake does in Metal Gear Solid, now Tifa is we get to play the survive the gas chamber mini game of Final Fantasy VII.
She also gets as she's put in the gas chamber, slapped for the first time by Scarlet.
Yeah. She just really has to prove how mean she is.
Yeah, I'm torn on how I feel about all the slapping in this segment.
I know,
like the women on women violence and it taking the form of slapping is a little odd. But like it's fun in that you get to have the last laugh later in a few minutes here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But so what happens when the guards, they lock Tifa into a chair in a gas chamber? They drop a key. Oops. Oopsie. Drop the key.
Yeah. That's your first hint. Like, okay, maybe the game's not over.
Yeah, for real. Oh my God, what's disc 3? What's gonna happen? I don't like disc 2 at all. So from Barrett's perspective, he's watching as what's obviously Kate Sith, dressed up as a TV reporter.
The one random giant headless TV reporter with a cat's head with a hat sticking out of its middle of its body.
Oh my God, does this character talk like a cat too? Like, I want like a cute like cartoon cat
I've
robot
seen
voice.
clips of he has like a silly Scottish accent.
Oh, that's cute. Okay, that's cool because the name Kaishi being like a Celtic or Gaelic or something.
So he knocks Scarlet out and goes, "Look, it was me, the cat on a Moogle the whole time."
And this is the first time I've used this character in combat.
Yeah.
Truly hate this character.
Yeah, he sucks.
I don't even like saying their name because it makes me feel.
There's
stupid.
no right way to say it.
the bad cat.
You lose no matter how you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we got Barrett and Ketshi making their escape through this interior press area / prison of Junon.
Gas chamber.
Yeah. It's weird.
There's so it's now the goal is let's bust Tifa out of the gas chamber before she gets gassed to death. But what, oh golly, you know what happens? Weapons attacking.
Yeah. Interesting.
Go ahead.
The weapon attack begins, and I just want to note before we get into the actual what happens is this weapon is like we only see it and experience it when it comes out and in this like segment. It's very interesting.
It's a unique looking monster. This is the one that I said looks like a crab.
Yeah. This one looks the most like an angel from Evangelion.
Yeah.
Angel attack. All hands on deck at Nerve headquarters is what we get from Rufus and Heidegger in the coming scenes here.
Oh, one bit of dialogue that stood out when Barrett was kind of getting Tifa up to speed after she woke up from her 7-day nap is that he somewhat admired Rufus's response to the weapon attacks. Mm-hmm. He like gave him a little bit of credit. He was like, the guy's got guts. And that
he's like taking on the weapons.
Yeah, and like that was like noted. Okay, like Barrett's not just blinded by hate; he's also like can like game recognize game as it is.
Yeah, and then we see how that operates with the Junin military bunker that it is.
Good Gord. This is some Tokyo 3 stuff for sure.
Yeah, massive FMV of the cannon, the Sister Ray, preparing to launch at weapon as it's approaching.
Is that a Lou Reed reference?
I have no idea. I always just thought it was I don't know. I never thought anything of it. But yeah, Heidegger orders to fire on weapon before we've seen it surface.
Sister Ray is a song by the Velvet Underground.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to listen to that
speaking
later.
of Loveless, like the is a very it's like a seminal like shoegaze record by My Bloody Valentine. Like shoegaze emo like early. Yeah.
My Bloody Valentine originally was a slasher movie about a coal miner killing a bunch of people.
That might be where the band got the name from.
I assume so.
I finally remembered that in the last week or two. Anyway, yeah, we take that first shot and they miss. Is that correct?
Well, the kaiju was underwater when they took the first shot, and they couldn't confirm. It was like it looked like they got a hit on it, but being submerged, they couldn't really get like a solid reading on what happened. But then it's coming right for us. We get to see from like Rufus's office at Junin. He's got this gigantic, beautiful window of like Art Deco, just gorgeous. But okay, we got underwater dragon, crab, Godzilla, Evangelion.
Yeah, we love a kaiju.
It is just hurtling toward Junin Harbor, and those Shinra troops, they just start. How many of them are missing? It's kind of wild. Just like they've got a very wide range.
But this does a great job to establish the power of these capital W weapons that have come out of the ground that we see dozens and dozens of massive blasts being fired at it, doing absolutely nothing to stop it or slow it.
That's right. And this one, is this one just called Weapon? Or what, did we give a name to this one?
I would call it just Weapon.
Yeah.
Because the first one we fight is Diamond Weapon. That's the only required
That's right.
fight with a weapon.
And the official guide just refers to it as Weapon. So we'll
I believe that. So.
So the kaiju comes into contact, it swipes at Sister Ray. Or like it kind of like tackles the building, and it cuts a gash in the roof above Tifa's gas chamber. Now it's a gas chamber.
Wow, isn't that convenient? It's having trouble remembering the order of operations here.
Barrett is still in Operation Save Tifa's life and don't let her get gassed to death. Because apparently, like after the weapon attack, like they just pressed the gas button, the slow gas button. But they decide that the door must be locked from a different room. So they start scurrying around trying to free Tifa. It's Tifa. So to get the key to free her, Tifa has to do some foot and head combinations. It's actually kind of fun. I enjoyed this because the stakes were so high. Seemingly, I don't know if you can let her die. Like, have you ever tested that? I never tried to see if she would die if you took too much time. That'd be brutal. But
actually, I believe we finish everything with Barrett and Ketchi before we do that little save Tifa mini game.
Oh, right. So Barrett and Ketchi, Kat is just like, I've got an idea. Just trust me. Follow me. Let's go to this airship. And what happens here? All
right.
Oh boy, we get back to the weapon attack, and it looks kind of silly. Like the big chest piece in front of its face. It reminds me of like Kenny from South Park. Like,
I don't know. It looks sick to me. I mean, it looks like a classic kaiju. Mixed with some Evangelion angel stuff.
It's imposing.
Yeah.
It's aquatic and big and fast and strong and scary.
Yeah.
Does it have a mouth though? Like, I don't feel like you can see its mouth.
Oh, it's got like a mask, Yeah.
Yeah. Like battle armor.
We also can find Yuffie.
Oh yeah, she's also
she's pretending to be a news reporter in front of the Sister Ray. And we can just grab her to keep running, and then we end up at the heliport where the Highwind parks, and Ketchi is just follow me, and when we get to the Highwind, that's when we cut to Tifa.
But Barrett is being forced to trust the known traitor of the group right now.
Both the known traitors.
Yes, that's right. Times are tough,
Yeah.
But yeah, so to get the key that was conveniently left in her cell by one of the guards, Tifa uses her foot in conjunction with her head, and it's you can mess around if you don't combine the right body movements together, because you've got 4 prompts to move her head, her right and left arm, and her legs. And if you just use her legs, the key will fumble around, and all the while gas is just pumping on Tifa in this creepy room that you can decipher as being built just for gassing people. It's a bummer. And weapon it solves a problem for Tifa because she can't find a way out of this room, and then weapon cuts the big gash in the roof. Scarlet is yelling at Tifa, let me in, get out of there. Just as Tifa kind of points out the irony to Scarlet that
she locked her in.
Yeah.
Here's your reveal of how Weapon's mouth works.
Yeah, that's so cool. That is cool.
As it fires on Junin one more time, as Tifa's trying to figure out how to get out of the room. It has like a mouth guard that lowers down and then it shoots laser beams out of its mouth, which
makes it more aerodynamic.
Very conveniently hits the gas chamber, which is right at the sort of front and center of Junon. It gets its head blasted off.
Sure does.
And I think that is the end of this weapon.
Yeah.
It's dead now.
It's got its head blown off.
Yeah.
Sister Ray did its job. Luckily, it was standing right in front of the cannon.
Yeah, they're not very smart, these weapons. So now Tifa can run out of the chamber through the gash that weapon has blown open.
That's right. And while being pursued by Scarlet and some Shinra forces.
Yeah, let's put this footy on screen.
Yeah,
this is a fun
cool.
Little... Because it
one
bears the scale
of
this place very well. And Tifa takes
she would have died
50-foot tumble onto the Sister Ray.
and her instinct is to just run to the end of this, what must be blisteringly hot. If it just blasted these types of...
It's probably pretty well insulated. Lots of layers of steel. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like she has this sort of like force sense to run to the end.
We're about to Back to the Future, save ourselves. Doc's got the DeLorean on lockdown.
Yeah,
but first, we get
slap fight.
I've seen Tifa punch like a dead god before. Like
she should murder this woman right now.
Tifa has punched her way through Genova twice in my case.
But all that being said, it's again this silly like catty woman on woman violence. The way it's played is a little weird, but it's like Scarlet is an annoying bee, and it's kind of cathartic to just get to slap her with your like badass female character.
I always was bothered by this just because I'm like Tifa would punch through this woman's jaw.
Yeah,
like it would be one hit and Scarlet would be dead.
Yeah,
but also I would love to see this. I would love to see how this is handled. With future iterations.
Yeah. Barrett pulls up on the high wind, though.
The power of love.
And throws out a rope. I love this FMV.
Yeah, this is fun.
It's so good that she jumps off and misses at first, and the rope swings back at the last second for her to catch on.
That is so stressful.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Love it. To the nth degree. I don't know how else to put it. That's wonderful stuff.
The design of the high wind is quintessential Final Fantasy aesthetics.
Yeah.
This like steampunk, super, future fantasy is just like, it is iconic. I love the shape and the inferred mechanics of the high wind. Like, cause it like looks like a model airplane. And it just looks like a fantasy, like I don't know how that would really fly or if it would work so great, but it works really well. It's like
it looks sick.
If fans of the Fallout series would remember the Vertibird, which is a unique flying device for that fantasy world's aesthetic, and this is right on par. Well, it exceeds the Vertibird because more people are familiar with the high wind than they are with that. But boy, I just love what the high wind does for the gameplay, which is what we're going to cover next time.
Yes, sir.
We have reached the end of this discussion. We covered some heady, weird stuff.
I'm going to go just what we could do on the high wind at this point.
Oh, sure. We
real
can do
quick
that.
Before we wrap. First off, Tifa gets on and says, "My cheeks hurt a bit."
Yeah. Take that one out of context, Tim Rogers.
Yeah. My cheeks hurt. Anyway, no, the thing that I do want to cover on the high wind is the
plan
make if you talk to the right guy.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Why do we have this airship?
Right.
He has a whole backstory.
It's great. Right. They're mutiny.
That they committed a mutiny, and it's been foreshadowed several times throughout the game. They're like, we hated Heidegger.
Yes.
Because every time people would screw up, he'd beat the living daylights out of them.
Right. I remember getting off of the Junon Harbor ship on Costa del Sol. He gets yelled at by Rufus because we accidentally smuggled Genova and Avalanche under our noses. And then Heidegger just beats the shit out of some sailors.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, no, this is wonderful. And it's like, it gives life to these like seemingly inconsequential like set pieces, like NPCs. And it's like, no, they have lives and they are also like human beings that are like, who mistreating them has consequences.
Yeah. And they use the fact that Sid has suddenly shown up in Junon, which, yeah, we need some explanation about how the rest of the party got away.
Whatever.
But like,
whatever.
We can let it ride. But they were like, oh, well, we hate Heidegger. Sid's here. He seems to be in line working with these folks who seem chill. Like, let's just help him take it.
Sid designed the airship.
Yeah.
And it's named after him. His name is Sid Highwind.
Yeah.
Sid Highwind. And he's this like legendary engineer who almost was the first man in space. And so like, yeah, he's especially to like Shinra, like science driven naval type people. Like, yeah, he's the shit.
They must not know about how he behaves in his personal life.
Well, no one talks to Shira anymore. Or Shira.
Yeah.
Shira.
The last thing we can do before we take off with the high wind is, I believe it's Red 13. If like we can talk to everybody on the cockpit deck area, and I think it's Red 13 or Nanaki and Tifa. They talk about how there are pockets where like the live stream sort of spews up in the world because they're like, maybe if Cloud's around, he fell in the live stream.
Yeah.
So he gives us a light direction.
That's good.
There's places where this happens, like the live stream just sort of comes to the surface and sort of spews like a volcano. Maybe we should go find one of those places to just start looking to see if Cloud sort of got spit out somewhere.
Right. Because right now Cloud is a life streamer.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to remember when we were talking before recording. He's a life streamer. Folks. I love what the Highwind does for the game because now the world is far more open to us. It's not totally open, but it is far more open to us. Mm-hmm. And this is like, I mean, this is a big moment in Final Fantasy VII where it's like, okay, now it is mostly truly an open world game that with the Highwind at our disposal, we can just kind of putz around. We can go wherever. We can easily, without having to use the Junon ship at the harbor to go between continents. You know, we don't have to stick to the coastlines anymore with the tiny Bronco. We can cross more than streams than with the buggy. We've amassed a lot of random, vehicles, but the Highwind is like,
forget all that. You don't need all that stuff anymore.
Yeah, but what really this means for me, like as a Final Fantasy VII gamer, is like, okay, now I'm going to start working on getting a gold chocobo because this is not enough. I need to go to the rest of the fucking islands. Like,
baby.
There are just certain islands that aren't big enough for the Highwind to land on.
Yeah.
And I again, just as like a gamer playing through this and like seeing, like, watching that FMV where they lowered a rope for Tifa so that she could escape Sister Ray. I always wanted to like, can I just go to the island with Knights of the Round? Can you just lower a rope so I can get on there and get the shit? Like, can we skip the forced breeding of giant ostrich chickens?
Yeah. Very quickly, because we'll soon learn there's about 7 days left to the end of the world.
yeah, it's important. And we should really, and like, I love that, like, okay, the end of the world is just staring this entire planet face to face. And Gold Saucer is like, open for business. Yeah. Like, we're still charging for stuff. Maybe the world won't end. And like, think of all the extra gil. What could we do with that? I would not show up to work.
Yeah.
If I don't know, what's the equivalent? I don't know. I guess I kind of show up to work in spite of the apocalypse every day, don't I?
I was gonna say the world seemed pretty over in like March, April 2020, and I was the lone wolf who still showed up to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for for this segment. I intend, as again, we are recording this 10 days out from the release of Rebirth.
Yeah.
I kind of personally, for my playthrough, want to blast through and be done with the OG, so I can just be like, my plate is clear for that. So I don't know if we'll have, I don't know how many more, 2 or 3 more of these, probably.
Yeah, I think 3 at the most.
Yeah. Because
But
disc 3 is pretty much just the final dungeon.
disc 3 is better. Finish up any of these optional massive bosses. Get some quests. We'll talk more later.
Yeah.
But campers, it's been a blast. Thank you for hanging out. Be sure to like and subscribe and tell a friend about Camp Video Games. Come on.
Yeah, if you listen this far, you're having a good time. You
Have
want
a
a friend
great
to have a
time.
good time with you.
Have a great time with your friend. Listen to Camp Video Games together. Make it a thing. Who cares? Life is meaningless.
I know. Do whatever's fun, man. Who cares? No, it's man, it's a lot of fun talking about this game, and we are getting to the other properties in the Final Fantasy VII media realm.
That's
at
right.
this point.
After next discussion, we will then cover the OVA, and once we finish talking about the game, then we've got Advent Children,
which is playing 1 weekend only in theaters.
That's right.
Next week as
And
we record this.
we're going,
Yeah, so
baby.
we gotta go.
Did you buy tickets yet? Or?
No, we got to make a plan. Yeah,
You
we're
know
gonna
what?
go, dude.
I don't think it's gonna sell out.
Yeah, so we'll figure that out.
Maybe we should try to do a live recording outside of the theater.
I was thinking, anyway, we'll talk about this off mic. In the meantime, we've got some more Final Fantasy VII fun coming up for the next few weeks as you guys enjoy your playthroughs of Rebirth.
That's right. Thanks for joining us here at Camp Video Games.
If you'd like to write to us, send a message to campvideogames@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at campvideogames. If you want to become a real happy camper, you can support Camp Video Games on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll be granted access to even more discussions about movie-based video games, game-based movies, full-length commentaries, playthroughs, and more. Whether you sign up or not, we're glad to have you here at Camp Video Games.